Hello, friends. My name is Muzamil. I'm from India. Me and Boicha, both who are hosting this call, are from Project DEFY. DEFY is an acronym that stands for Design Education for Yourself. I hope I'm audible enough to all of you. Our organization hosted a couple sessions yesterday also. If some of you were a part of it, Abhijit Sinha hosted a talk, Megha also hosted a talk, the co-founders of DEFY. They have already spoken quite a few lines, quite a few things about what our organization does. So I won't go in much details. What we basically do is we design self-learning spaces. And we work in India, African continent, Bangladesh, and are expanding further, where learners can come in and learn whatever they want. It's a really open, choice-based platform. That's me, and that's what we do. Boicha?
Yeah, hi, good everyone. My name is Boicha. I also from India, working together with Muzamil. Me and Muzamil role are also similar with Project DEFY. We travel, work together with different communities and set up this self-learning center called Nooks across different countries. So I think that's what basically we do. Quite an exciting role also for us. Have a chance to meet and interact with different, a lot of self-learners, a lot of educators around the world. So yeah, it's really looking forward to the session also, and thanks all of you for joining.
I think we can still spare a couple minutes, and if some of you want to quickly introduce yourself by switching on the camera or just with your microphones also. Just share your name, where you're talking from.
So I'll go next. I'm Shikha. I also belong to India, Delhi. I work for a school called Vega Schools in Gurgaon, taking care of their people and culture function, which is erstwhile called as human resources function, really. I have had a rich corporate experience working in the HR field, but then I moved to the education sector. I did my fellowship program for 2 years with Teach for India, taught in government schools, grade 4 and 5 learners. And that's what excited me about the education space. And then, I thought that let me help my co-founders create an exemplar school in the form of Vega Schools, which really believes in a very different pedagogy called problem-based learning, which is an amalgamation of experiential learning, inquiry-based learning, and project-based learning. So it tops all three of them. I think it is very close to what Summerhill follows in the sense of a self-directed learning process we enable for our learners. So yeah, that's why I'm here and hoping to learn a lot from all of you today.
Thank you so much, Shikha. I shared a similar journey with you, switching from human resources to the education field.
Oh, wonderful.
Glad to meet you.
Same here. Which part of India are you guys based on?
I'm currently in Mumbai. I'm from Mumbai itself.
Yeah, and I'm from Manipur, actually, but we're
and where is DEFY operating from?
Bangalore, Hi.
Anybody else?
Hi, Merto. I think you raised your hand. I think you can, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, so you can.
Yes, it's Mirto. I am from Greece, and I am working as an animator in theater games groups, and also as an infant carer. And I don't know, nice to meet you. Good morning.
Yeah, morning, and nice to meet you also.
Nice to meet you.
I think we can just introduce ourselves like in a different way also. I guess you must have played this, say asked this question before, so and know about this activity. Would you rather? I think we can just we pick up one question so that we can all see as sort of like opening up for ourselves. Like I will just put the questions in the chat also. Say we can choose one of say two options that we give, and everybody can share like why did you choose particular option, yeah, and explain a little bit also even on the chat or by unmuting yourself also. Yeah, I think we can don't mind I think when we go out also. Yeah, it's funny. I think that's what we thought. It's really funny, so we can begin with this to wake up us up, like you have to present up. Anybody who wants to share about this?
Just bring out the children in
Hello.
you.
Yeah.
I think I am silently Hooper.
And
Got
I
it.
can share why also. Yeah.
I think I would also like to be a silent pooper. That would be better.
How about Sika, Pankri, if you don't mind sharing? Yeah, Millie, yeah, Madhavi.
I think I would be a loud farter.
Yeah, I think poop your pants like a lot of. I think you will feel a lot of uncomfortable. I guess like yeah, it can get over easily. Yeah,
It's a
that's what I was
long-term
thinking.
discomfort. It will stay with you. This just gets
Yeah.
over in a moment.
Yeah. If your friends keep it with you, then the fart also stays with you more than the poop does, I think.
I think
That's
early in the
true.
morning or in the evening we're discussing this. I guess like yeah, it's nice. Yeah.
Yes.
Please.
I think I'd be allowed. I think I'd prefer a loud fart as well.
Yeah.
And also because it usually makes people laugh.
Yeah. Okay.
I think
Sometimes
I'll
it's
be
not even under our control to, whether we want it or not. Sometimes it's just beyond our control. Can't do much about it.
Sure. I think I'll be a loud farter. I think making other people uncomfortable rather than myself. I'll go with that one.
Yeah. I think yeah, for me, I think it's loud only like just to. I think it will be end very fast, right? Like yeah, you will not feel discomfort anymore. Yeah, that's how. Yeah, so I think we'll quickly introduce about the session also. Like, what is it about the session? Yeah, I think we can start. I guess like yeah, Muzamil? Yeah.
Thank you so much for answering that question, by the way,
Yeah.
and being honest about it. That's what we'll do today. Be honest with each other and share what we feel about the story. The session is called "Are You Offended?" Today, with social media and a lot of heated political environment, we are often we feel offended with a lot of things, and we believe it's a good thing. We believe it gives us a chance to introspect a little bit on what we really care about, what our value system is. And with the story today also, I hope some of you get really offended. And with that feeling, we can introspect further of what in the society do we really care about, what are our values, and that value compass can further help us to make the rest of the decisions of our life, which job to pick up or whom to marry, and really difficult questions in life. But once you have clarity on what you value the most, I think these decisions gets a bit simpler to make. So won't postpone this a lot. The task for today is I'll read out a story We'll also share this story with you, with every one of you. It's a PDF file. We'll share it after the storytelling is done. So if you miss a part or two, don't worry a lot. You will have the story with you. You will have enough time also to read it once more at your own pace, at your own convenience. And how many people do we have here? Okay, no breakout rooms necessary, I think. We can do a discussion right here. After the story is done, the task is, there are 6 characters in the story. Okay. What you have to identify is which character's behavior offends you the most. And we go in a ranking format, not a rating format. Ranking is the most offensive behavior comes on rank 1. The second most offensive comes on rank 2. The third most comes on rank 3, and so on and so forth. Listen to the story carefully. After that, you can rank which behavior was the most offensive to you. Once we rank individually for all of us, post which we will try to come to a consensus, one ranking amongst all of us. So we will share our views of why we ranked this character the first, and then try to convince each other why this character's behavior is more offensive than others. Was that clear enough? Was that elaborate enough? Any questions?
Please
Can
give
I
a
get a-
thumbs up,
Yeah,
or
can I
any
get a quick
signs of
thumbs up?
life, I think, on the reactions or anything in chat also.
So we
If
discuss
it's-
each character here after we read the story, or we put in our interest and then we discuss each character.
You can keep it to yourself, and then one by one we can discuss. You can
okay,
you can share your opinions on chat as well later on.
All right. So first we just analyze the story and keep our opinions to ourselves, and then we discuss this in the forum.
Yes, once everyone
All
is done ranking, then we can start the discussion.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions? We got a couple thumbs up, so thanks for that. Cool, so we'll dive into the story. The name of the story is Narmada River story. It happens near the river Narmada in India. Boicha is sharing the screen so you guys can read with me if you want. And here I go. There lived a woman named Jenny, who was deeply in love with her cousin, John. John, in turn, loved her very much. The two lived on the opposite banks of the river Narmada. Every Saturday, Jenny went to her aunt's house and spent the weekend with her aunt, uncle, and cousin John. John also visited her family, usually on Wednesdays, for a few hours. Torrential rains poured continuously for 6 days during last October, and the waters of the river rose to dangerous levels. The low-lying bank where John lived was almost submerged in water, and nobody was sure to what extent damages had occurred. The bridge across the river was broken, and people had no way of keeping in touch with each other. The uncertainty caused a lot of grief to many people, and needless to say, Jenny and her family were terribly upset, not knowing what had happened to their relatives across the river. Feeling awfully helpless, Jenny went to the old man Raj, who was carrying food supplies across the river, for some special friends of his, and requested him to take her to the other side. She narrated her plight and said she would pay him $50 for his favor. The usual ferry charge were $5 for a round trip. Raj said that taking her meant carrying less food for the needy, and he would not be willing to do so unless she could at least double her fare. Since Jenny and her parents were poor and did not have much money, she did not have $100 that he asked for. Actually, even the $50 she had with her was the money which she wanted to buy textbook for herself. She pleaded and cajoled, but no avail. As she sat dejected under a tree, Jenny cited her college mate, Jamal, whose father owned a ferry, and narrating her plight, begged him to take her across the river. Jamal said he would be pleased to accede to her request in return for a small favor. He wanted to sleep with her just once. He told her how much in love he himself was with her and how he had always dreamt of sleeping with her just once. As she stood horrified by this unexpected proposition, a mutual friend of theirs, Abdul, approached them. The moment Jamal saw Abdul, he told him that Jenny wanted to cross the river and he would be happy to take her in his ferry if only he could sleep with her once. Is that such a big price to pay? Asked Jamal. Since Jenny stood there feeling terribly embarrassed, Abdul shrugged his shoulders and said that he did not want to get involved in something going on between the two and walked away. Not knowing what else to do and wanting to see John badly, Jenny reluctantly agreed to Jamal sleeping with her just once. Never, never, never again do I want to do anything with it. And you must promise to leave me alone in the future, she said. He agreed and then slept with her and took her to the other side of the river. Jenny was crying all the time as she walked from the river bank to John's house. When she saw John alone at home, she wept even more bitterly. Not understanding why she was so unhappy, John assured her that they were all right and that she should not be so upset. When he said this, Jenny started sobbing even more bitterly. She then told him what happened. John immediately flew into a rage and slapped Jenny on both her cheeks. John's father, Sam, who just then walked into the house, saw his son hitting Jenny and the poor girl wailing loudly. He then took out his belt and beat up his son badly. Jenny walked out of the house feeling avenged as the sun was setting in the western sky. There was a smile on her face for the first time since the last few days when the rains poured incessantly and the river flooded. That was the story. Boicha will share the same file on the chat as well so that you guys can download it from there and take a look at it again. There are 6 characters in the story: Jenny, Abdul, Jamal, John, his father Sam, and the friend. Go through the story once, and the old man Raj, the boatman. Go through the story once, take a couple minutes. It's 11:24 here. 6 minutes from now, you can read the story once and then take some time, and then we'll start the discussion. Make sure in the next 6 minutes you manage to rank each character depending on the most offensive behavior that you found.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your answers in the chat. What we want you to do is now give out the reasons. Unmute yourself, and whoever wants to go first, we'll do this the popcorn style. Whoever wants to go first can just unmute themselves and share their reasons. Let's start with rank 1. Whoever is in your rank 1, why do you find it the most offensive character in the story? One by one, you guys can share and try to convince others. We have to come to a consensus as of now that make your case for your character, that why is that character the most offensive. Try to convince each other. For the others can also defend their points, and we can have a discussion around it. For the next
Tandy raised her hand, I guess. Tandy, you want to go first? You can go ahead.
For me, I felt like the most offensive was Jamal. That's my number 1 because he took advantage of Jane. he knew that Jenny was very desperate and he took advantage of the situation, and then he demanded sex from her. So I feel like he's the most offensive. So that's my number one and the reason why.
Sure.
Yeah. Thanks, Tande. Okay.
I can go next, Boicha?
Yeah, Madhav, sure. Yeah.
Thank you. I felt John was the most offensive here because he failed to understand what Jenny was actually putting up with for just finding out how he was and if he was alive at all. Just in case we take the other way around where he was dead, she had risked everything that she had in her life just to figure out if in case he was still around. And she was going to lose things either way. And she was ready to put up all of that just to find out how he was doing and if he needed any help. So I think he really undermined someone's efforts in finding out his well-being. So it's very emotionally, I don't know, cheating, I feel. That's why I feel it's really bad. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Madhavi. Yeah. Anybody? Sikha, Mieto, yeah. Afif, D, yeah.
For me too, I found John's behavior to be most offending to me personally. I mean, if I do something for somebody, he doesn't even understand why I'm doing this, and doesn't really, value my commitment towards him or her, then it's a waste. And I do get offended by that. So if I was putting myself in Jenny's shoes, then it's like, that's not the behavior I had called for or looked for from John, whom maybe I would have, sacrificed myself for. Yeah.
Quite interesting. You chose Jenny to put yourself into her shoes among the 6 characters.
So I was trying to put myself in the shoes of all the characters actually. But when I started ranking them, then yes, my ranking was based on if I were Jenny, then what would have I done? I was thinking that, in terms of Jamal, Abdul, Sam, Raj, I mean, all of them were, thinking from their point of views that how can I take, the most out of the situation. So fine, everybody has their own needs, and that became an opportunity for them to fulfill their needs. So I did put myself in their shoes too. But in terms of being offended the most, that was the time I was sort of trying to put myself in Jenny's shoes. Yeah. And then relating it with my own self. That if I was there, then, I could have taken the misbehavior or abuse or anything from anybody else, but from the person for whom I'm doing this for, or I care the most for. Then there is no difference between a John or an Abdul or a Sam or a Jamal.
Okay, quite interesting perspective also, I guess, like yeah.
Others can comment in defense or argue the points that people have shared, share their own opinions.
Even ask question also, like Miyata, you can go ahead.
Yes, I have messed the measuring anyway. I have put at 6 Jen, at 1 Jen, because I have put the most offended, not the most offensive. So it's,
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel that she was the most offended by the way Jamal reacted, and Raj, Raj
Raj.
Yeah.
didn't felt. I think he didn't felt it was something more neutral between Jenny and Raj, because he was not offended. And yeah, I have put John at second after Jenny because he was offended by the way his father reacted to. Yeah, so I think the measurement is opposite from the chat that I have put.
Got it. Answer, Pankuri? Yes. Go ahead. You raise your hand.
I at first I was going for John and his father for their violent reaction, but then when I really looked at the end of the story, I ended up choosing Jenny because it seemed to me that she was prepared to do anything regardless of the consequences, and the fact that even though John beat her up, she was happy and almost revengeful because his father beat him up, and to go walk away from that situation smiling, I thought that was a very passive kind of aggressive self-absorption. I have to get what I want. So that's why I chose her as my first.
So I just have one question actually. I couldn't really understand the last line of the story where Jenny walked out smiling. I couldn't understand that gesture, that what made her smile. What was she really thinking?
Well, in the story, it only mentions there was a smile on her face for the first time since the last few days when the rain poured incessantly and the river flooded. So the word when the rain poured incessantly indicates that she started smiling when the rain started pouring and the river started flooding incessantly. Was my interpretation of it.
Yeah, no, but yeah, what's the connection of rain pouring in and her smiling and the rest of the story? That I couldn't make.
Well, the river was flooding, and because of that, a lot of damage was happening on, especially the John's side of the household. Doesn't give out much. It's left to interpretation. So anything more that I say will be my assumption.
Yeah. Also,
Take
like
it as
people,
you.
people can have different interpretation. Also, I have a different interpretations than Muza. Also, like the ending part. Yeah.
Sure.
Cool. So we have got Pankuri and Answer haven't spoken, but it's all right. We have got a few first rankings from Jamal, Jenny, John, different people in the story. The task, as we shared earlier, is to try to convince each other out. Ask questions if you want to the people you feel that you want to ask questions to, or try to defend your position, your characters in the story is what we're aiming for here.
I think a lot of people have chosen John for different reasons. I think my reason is also a bit different in that it's what, the violent reaction. I think any emotion or feeling is not what we can really comment on as to how he felt about Jenny's behavior, but reacting like such a knee-jerk reaction in that of like hitting someone is something I feel is not really an acceptable response from my perspective. So I think there is a lot of consensus on John, but I think everyone has their own reasons for it.
Yeah, also Sam's father was also like I had a violent reaction also, right? At the same time, when he saw it, like he was hitting his son. So it's a like if you look, I think it's kind of similar reactions as like John also. Yeah, what do you think about Sam's reaction then?
Yeah, a lot of people have ranked Sam as 3 or 4 and John as first. Well, the behaviors were quite similar. Sorry, somebody spoke.
Can I speak?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I also agree with Pankuri because I don't know, I'm also involved in Theater of the Oppressed group. So there we try to find who is the oppressed. So in this story, I think Jenny is the oppressed because she had to go and find John. She had to face the violence, the sex violence, violent reaction from Jamal, and also the violent reaction from John. And I mean, I'm in this aspect of you also for John, who felt the violent reaction from Sam. Jenny is like being in how can I say it? She tries to find a solution, but she's also very restricted in a way.
Yeah, I think what we can do now is like if there's any I think since we can make come into a conclusion, I guess, like even though like what we are trying to say the objective of the session was like we evaluate say our own position from say we evaluate someone's or say look at the things based on our own position of vulnerability, like what we are vulnerable, like say that's how we make the judgment, that's how we say have create the perceptions of others. That's how we sort of like say wanted to change say like trying to think about others perspective also. That's what we are trying to, that's the whole idea of the sessions, basically like what if we forget of my own position of vulnerability and look from others also, and why is it? Yeah, so that's basically our idea. So yeah, Muza, I think we can have a little bit of debrief and also take coming to a sort of a conclusion, like how we can say assess the character.
So, so as you guys might have guessed, there is no one correct answer for the task. The point of doing this, and you can keep the stories with you and keep reflecting even after this session on what behaviors offend you the most, or in general in life, when you see posts on social media or when you read the news on things that really offend you. And the higher the offense will always tell you, the intensity of the offense will always tell you how closer the topic is to yourself. How much do you relate to, what characters do you put yourself, what characters you resonate with, what behaviors do you resonate with. If these things would have happened with you, how would have you reacted? It gives us a chance to introspect and tell us what are our values. For instance, if somebody And this is just an example. If somebody chose John as the first character, he has offended love. He has offended his relationship in the story. If that is super important to you, then you know love is one of your values that you would want to practice in your everyday life. Similarly, there is commodification of a person in the story when the Raj asks for more money. That's just uh, taking advantage of the poor, taking advantage of somebody who's in need. His friend, Jenny's friend, asks for sex. That's commodification of something that's not on the market. Sex was never on the table, but he commodified a thing that was not on the table. These are the few things that that we can reflect upon ourselves, that what offends us the most, and probably take up, start promoting our own values, start practicing our own values with people in our daily lives. And also, like I started, probably pick up jobs. To me personally, choice or freedom was the value that came up as, for me, that's most important. Freedom for people, freedom and choice of whatever they want to do in their lives. And that's what I chose my job as, where we provide freedom for learning to all our learners. We allow them to choose whatever they want to choose. And that really fulfills me now. My job becomes a source of me promoting my own value. Uh, Similarly, in relationships and other verticals of our lives. So that's what the story was aiming for. Keep the stories with you. Think about it. Even after the session, we understand that this was less amount of time for you to analyze it really well. There are many undertones in the story. There are many cultural aspects as well in the story. We were glad to do it on this global platform where people are from different places so that we could get different opinions. Can a couple of you share your experience or your learnings, or if some of you could reflect something about yourselves today in this session?
Yeah.
We would love to hear from you.
I can go first. I think, as you pointed out, right, like if we try to put ourselves in the shoes of each of the characters, at least what ends up happening is that the one you resonate most with comes last, and the one you don't with seems the most offensive, right? So for me, if my natural reaction to anything is not violence, then that's the one that's most offensive to me. And likewise is how the whole progression goes. So it's interesting to see how we naturally tend to veer towards the one we most resonate with, and then it's more of an effort to try and put ourselves in the shoes of the others or try to understand their intentions for any particular action.
Thank you.
I can go next. I think I really like Pankuri's perspective, which is right that, when I saw the story and then I thought everybody would choose John as the first offender, I almost believed that, how can you not see it? I mean, it's obviously him. But then looking at the multiple answers is when I really realized that, I didn't even think the other offenses were more or less, or, I didn't think there was actually a weightage towards beating being more than something else, or asking for sex being more than, beating and things like that. So, yes, it was wonderful how you guys brought this perspective out, where, we are very much inclined towards our own experiences and what we think is actually more offensive compared to the others. I think I really like that whole that eureka moment that I got after you guys spoke about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Madhu. I think it's what Stephen Covey shared, that map is not the territory. We have our own value compasses, we have our own beliefs in our heads, and the other people have other beliefs and other maps in their heads. If you are holding a map to Mumbai and try to navigate in California, you will never reach the destination, no matter how much you try to change your attitude towards taking the efforts of reaching the destination. But sometimes in our conversations with people, when we argue with people or when we try to convince each other out, we have to understand their maps also, their belief systems as well, their worldviews, how they view a decision, how they view a situation. And if we are able to understand both the maps, maybe probably we will reach the destination.
Yeah. I think answer, I saw you unmute. I think if you want to share.
Thanks, Boicha. But I was looking at it from a different perspective. So I was, yeah, even if when I was trying to put myself into the character's shoes and all, I started looking at it from a perspective of, as human beings, most of I think that one problem that we usually are facing is that we do things for ourselves to benefit ourselves. Jenny was doing it for her own benefit. And if you look at Jamal, he also did it for his own benefit. He said, I've always wanted you, so this is the one time I get to have you. So let me use that. And you could see how Abdul's selflessness, in selfishness as well, in him saying, I don't want to be involved in this, is also a way of serving his own desires or maybe political correctness, where he's not involved in making a decision for other people, and or just saying that they're two adults, they can make a decision for themselves, even though it's not an equal footing for both of them. One is taking advantage clearly and the other one is vulnerable and will do anything. But he chose to say, hey, I don't want to be involved in this. And I think that also resonates with life in general when you look at how we as people tend to protect our own interest rather than looking at what's also going to benefit the other person first. So, or even if you are that kind of person that says, I want other people to benefit first, you are also put in a place where you have to choose. And in this case, most characters did not actually choose to benefit the other ones. They only benefited for themselves. And I think that's where I'm stuck in between, actually knowing where exactly do I stand as a person, because I could easily relate with all of them, even though I could see that this is wrong. And I could see that, oh, if I was in this situation and if I was this guy, probably would have done the same. So then that also makes me question my own character as a person. But I think it also helps me look at things and say, okay, so now I need a reality check on who I am as a person and the kind of person that I would want to be even after reading this story. Yeah, that's what I got from this.
Yeah. Thanks. It's like, yeah, in some sessions also, some people find say Jenny is the most offensive character, even like why she wants to go to someone's house in the first place during all this disaster, or when some people need food, it's like from different perspective, like everybody wants to maximize their, say, utility, or at the same time. So it's just like I think this whole exercise or activity is just the starting point on how we can reflect our values, or how we can understand. Yeah, that's just wanted to share about it also. Yeah.
That was a beautiful sharing answer.
Yeah.
Quite some work to do for yourself, I think you realized, but sometimes it helps in making decisions. If we can empathize with both sides, then who do we go with? What do we decide for ourselves? So, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Shikha, do you want to share any of your experience, if not a reflection, just an experience of the session? Marto or Thandi?
For me, I don't know. All these things are a process to you know, to think more about how people react to each other, and to make to find better qualities in relationships. So yeah, thank you.
I have a question to both of you. Just wanted to understand that why did you choose to do this exercise with all of us? What were you wanting to drive?
That's a
Was
pretty
there
interesting
and
question.
Boicha? Yeah.
Boicha, you want to go first?
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's like basically my idea was say now, especially in this time, or even when we work in the workspace, or when we meet different people, so like we judge people easily, like even myself, like whenever I read a news, or so like I started say evaluating or judgment that person from my say position of vulnerability. Like say if I for example if I didn't have food because of a disaster or something, then I will have, like, if I know what Jenny was trying to do, then I would have say, why is he one love is not important, food is more important, like kind of that keep say examining or evaluating all of these things. So even say even people who commit all this violence, crime, like as a society or as a human, we easily tends to say discard the emotions or the feeling or that side, that human side, right? So that's why we just wanted everyone to think from like a little bit say examine that person's more, not look as only to the crime that they commit, or say the things that they did, just understanding them on as a human also. That's what, for me, this is the whole point, I guess, like for me. Yeah, I think Muza can also contribute. Yeah.
Thanks, Rita, for asking this question. We in education, per se, we talk a lot about having a value-based education system, having a purpose for your careers, but we don't. But when it comes to curriculums and stuff like that, we don't usually talk about these things. We then skip to skill sets and interests and passions. I think this is, for me, this always have opened up a conversation about values and about ethics and about and then using these to make decisions for your lives, rather than going with pros or cons, or I'm good at this skill set, so I will take up this job and stuff like that, or this is the problem that I want to solve. This opens up a reflection more internally rather than external, what happens in the external world as well. Then with that realization, with that awareness of what you care about really, then you can look at the external world and connect with something that you really want to do. So for me, this was the reason to bring up a conversation about our own values, so that we can, all of us as educators, we can take these conversations ahead about with our learners, with our peers, with everybody that we live with as well, and talk about these things more. Thank you, Shikhar.
I think we have overstood our time, I guess, like 5 minutes. Yeah. Just wanted to thanks everybody also, yeah, for participating in this activity and sharing your ideas, thoughts, and perspective also, and listening to our story also. I think feel free to use the say story and say talk with your friends, relatives, say even colleagues and all also. And we'd love to hear about this in future also. What do you think? How can improve like this exercise also? Yeah.
Keep the conversation ongoing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Boicha and Muzamil. Yes, we We don't have a session immediately afterwards, so if you wanted to keep going for a little longer, that would be okay.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So yeah.
Sina, I missed the organization that you work with. Can you share the name of that?
Sorry, I just said that we don't have a session starting immediately. So
I
there
got
is a
that.
little bit of extra time.
Yeah. Also, I think we would like to hear some feedback also from you, like how we do our sessions, how we conduct, like anything, like if you can give some feedback also, it will be great. Yeah.
Yes, Tanji, you raised your hand.
Thank you so much. My network is very low. I really hope you would hear me. I just wanted to say thank you so much for this session, right? It made me realize that as people with different perceptions, because some were not really agreeing with my list. So it really shows that where maybe from our experiences or our background also, they also come in how we see the things and how we see things around us. Because some were also saying, no, Jenny is the one who's wrong. But on my side, I felt like, no, Jenny is loving and was sacrificing. So it really shows like how different perceptions people have. And also that guy who had increased the amount, some may see him as bad, but from my side, I only saw it as business. He was making business because he had sacrificed. He was supposed to take food for the poor. So him upping the price, I felt like it was reasonable. So like how we view things really differ, and it shows like our values. What are you really valuing the most? It also differs, and that's how you then put these people in ranking. It depends on your values, what you really value the most. Thank you so much. I learned a lot.
Really glad. Thanks, Sandy, for sharing that.
Okay, thank you both very much. That was fascinating.
Thank you.